Welcome to the Everyday Awesome Project, where we bring you inspirational stories and game changing strategies to live your most awesome life. Hey, superstars, welcome back. Polly here.
And Sam Pruitt. And we could barely get going today. Why is that, Polly?
We're so excited.
It's one of our favorite topics. We're not quite talking about poop. We're talking about the gut, but it is one of our favorite things to talk about.
Totally. Listening to your gut.
Yeah.
Tuning into your gut, right? And as we were preparing for this episode, it turns out it's going to be two because we have a few too many things to say on this topic. So
we do. No, because we have a lot of personal experience with the gut, and also just we are so passionate about how important this is.
Fascinated with
literally. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's critical.
Totally. And it just, once you go down this little rabbit hole, it's such a key area that I think people are becoming more aware of it, right? So, we love bringing topics that like, hey, if you're not aware of this, here, let's shine some light on something. Let's shine a light on this huge, important area of your body, right? And starting this off in terms of listening to your gut, we're starting this two-part series in like the energetic space, the emotional space, the listening to your gut, right? Like, what is that? And you had some phrases, some cute phrases that we've heard over our lifetime, like listen to your gut or trust your gut or what? Like, what else? What have you heard?
Mm-hmm. Well, people do use these terms and they've used them forever, but have people really thought about it? That whole, hey, listen to your gut instincts. Mm-hmm. Okay, getting punched in the gut, getting gutted. There's all these terms that we throw around in space. And we use the term gut frequently, and we're talking about emotional and psychological and mental reactions or experiences, and we're connecting them to the gut. Mm-hmm. And how many times have people really thought about the actual physical connection between their brain, their emotions, their thoughts, and their gut? I do think a lot of people think they're two separate entities, and they're not.
Well, and this is emerging science too. I mean, it's not like, people knew about this 100 years ago or even 50 years ago, or maybe they did, but I just don't think it was as mainstream. And that's why we love digging into this, to bring this more to the mainstream. More people should hear about this, know about this. I mean, you and I even read some things. We're like, oh, didn't know that. Right on. What's that?
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, when we say gut instincts, we're really talking about that inner knowing. Right, that intuitive nature that the said human called you, me, what we really know to be true, because we have a reaction, a physical reaction to an experience. We have some intuitive psychological response or energetic response to what might be happening around us in our environment, etc. Intuition obviously is a big part of that, but when we're talking about it today, what we're really saying is like, are you listening to those signs and signals?
Yeah.
And the fact that first, are you listening to them? But do you also understand, let's back it up a minute, that that's real. Those signals, that messenger is you. It's a real thing. It's not something you're making up in your brain and that you should ignore, or it's not something that you should override. Or in many instances in society, we say to people like, hey, just suck it up. Just, ignore that and keep moving forward. Charge forward, push harder, blah, 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 all the things. Like, we're almost counter in society and culture to those inner knowings, those messages. We're almost countering that with our children and with ourselves and with society.
Oh, I don't think almost. I mean, I think people are. We are so in our heads. We're so guided that logic is the way to figure things out. Just think it through, or, think about analysis. We're not taught somatic breath work in high school. What are we taught? Like quantitative methods and statistics or whatever, right? Like,
yeah, we're taught to live in our head.
We're taught
not in our body.
And think that that's how we should, right?
Yeah.
And
sucks.
Well, and I want to say, you said, are you listening? And I think part of what we'll get to in the second part of this is like how the signals even get disrupted and dysregulated. So it might be that you're not even getting the signals, so let alone are you tuning it? Are you tuning them out? Are you trusting your brain over your body, over your gut? but also the signals might not be getting to the brain because of the dysregulation that we will talk about what, you know, creates dysbiosis, creates a breakdown, creates lack of communication between the gut and the brain, if you will.
Mhm, mhm.
Uh,
And on that inner knowing, listening, gut instinct side of the conversation, it's been coming up a lot for me with people I'm working with. And examples are I was sharing with you, I mean, this is all, confidence who it is, but like a younger person who was going through and coming out of an abusive relationship that had lasted 4 years. And in unpacking the emotional trauma of this experience and helping this person move forward, there were so many signs and signals, according to them in their honesty, right, that they basically just ignored.
yeah.
And that happens all the time in toxic relationships, toxic work environments, toxic spaces, where people, they know it's there. If it could be really overt, it could be an underlying current,
Hmm.
even, that people just ignore. And yet their body and their emotional body, their mind body is saying, hey, this doesn't feel safe. This doesn't feel right. Something
Mhm.
is wrong here.
Mhm.
And then another example is, the health side of that too, and those repercussions. But let's talk about the emotional side first.
Yeah, well, I think what I also want to cue in on what you're talking about. One is, I think you said it in when you just shared that is about trusting yourself, like trusting
Mm,
those signals, right? And so I think, um, as you mentioned the word safe, right? So depending on the upbringing of the people, like how you were brought up, how safe you were in that environment, what safety looked like, what measures of, the and also the patterns that you conditioned as a child, right? So if it was, you were regularly told not to, trust that or trust, the people in power, let's say your parents or your caretakers or something like that, like you just tuned out to that. It's like, oh, well, that doesn't matter. Like it's what they want, right? Whether we're doing it people pleasing because it gives us love or it keeps us from, being not belonging with people, right? Like we start to adapt and, contort and do all these things. Those
maladapt.
yeah, maladapt, right? And
Mhm,
it's because we're love-seeking beings. We need community, we need connection, we need that, like not be ostracized from the tribe, if you will, or out into the desert, because that's death, right? So
mhm.
we do a lot of contorting, right? And so depending on the environment that we're brought up in, it can teach us new patterns and new ways of surviving that upbringing, that household, that condition, that environment, the school environment, whatever, if things get dysregulated in family matters or whatever, just to survive, we create these strong suits, these survival skills, and we take them into our life. And it's like that environment's gone. We've left that environment, but we're operating as if, oh, I can't do this, I can't be that because I won't get love and safe. And yet you are getting signals from someone like piece of shit, treating you poorly,
Mhm,
or this is
exactly.
not healthy relationship or something. But to you, it's like, oh, I need that love and belonging, right?
Exactly. And it can sometimes be those really old ingrained, like you're saying, identities around self-worth.
Mm,
If you grow up in a household, you're born into and grow up in a household that the message is you don't have value, or you perceive from the messaging and the environment, I have little value, then you're going to continue to carry that forward into every aspect of your life. Of course, by the time you go into school and then relationship and career and whatever, you're going to carry that with you. And then, of course, now we know even in utero and ancestral,
mm.
traumas and messages are carried forward as well. Mind blowing. I'm carrying around my parents' shit. Damn, that backpack is heavy,
Totally.
girl. I gotta put I put that backpack down.
It's like
No,
peeling away the layers. Oh God,
yeah, it's
carrying all this.
bricks.
Yeah,
You're literally carrying other people's bricks and your own bricks on your back, trying to
totally,
go up the mountain.
totally, totally.
Hell
So
no.
yeah, so it's no wonder that, this thing called our gut and listening to it's like, oh, that's for other people. And then, I've heard a lot that people, or I've heard it, I'm not sure people believe it, but that women are more intuitive than men. And I'm like, but I think we all have guts, so
So
it
that would just be programming, right? Again,
Social
males in
conditioning.
society, socially conditioned to, again, suck it up, be tough, don't show this, don't have that, blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah.
And just being conditioned in that way, which is also ludicrous.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're a human being. We're all human beings, irrelevant of their sexual orientation.
Yeah.
We all
Yeah.
have the same basic foundational, equipment, if you will, to operate.
Totally, totally. Something I want to insert before we go too far, because I think people talk about the gut and they don't know what we're talking about. Also, I was
What
like,
is the gut?
my gut was telling me to talk about what the gut is. My gut's like, hey, I don't think everybody knows what that is. So, most people would say the gut is the intestinal system, right? Small and large intestines. And some research or some things we looked into talk about it from the esophagus, all the way to your anus, right? So you could consider all of that your digestive system, if you will.
30 feet long.
30 feet, all up in your,
30
all up
feet long.
in,
There is 30 feet of gut, quote unquote, inside your physical body. You and I are not very big people. Where the hell is it?
oh, I know, it's all up in there.
What the?
And one of my most favorite little fun facts is the lining, like the thickness of it, is the
Mhm.
thickness of a piece of your hair.
Well, and that's a whole problem.
Like
I mean, for me,
my
that's
hair
become a problem, leaky
breaks
gut
apart
and
in like nothing.
dysbiosis. Yeah,
Yeah, like this.
exactly.
And so I forget what the percentage is, but okay, so you have your immune system largely lives full time in two places in your body: the center of your nose, where you take in, things through your nose, and the lining of the gut, just on the outside of the lining of the gut, not on the inside, on the outside, right? So on the other side of the hair from all the food flowing through your digestive system, your immune system is lining that, just protecting the rest of your body. That's like your warriors up defending against anything that should break that little tiny, tiny barrier and want to penetrate into your body, right? They live inside of your nose, protecting anything coming in there, because that's where things can penetrate your body, besides your skin, right? So, if you
Mhm,
cut the lining, if you cut your skin, boom, we know that like all those little white cells go to it and they heal it and they repair it and stuff like that. Well, that's what's constantly on the lining of the outside, if you will, on protecting between your gut and your organs and your internal system, right?
mhm,
And
mhm.
so when that gets and that's like bonds, it's like little I don't know exact
Junctions.
yeah, I don't know
Um,
exactly the structure. It's not a web, but it's, junctions. And when we'll introduce this word now, leaky gut. If you haven't heard that before, leaky gut is when they say the bonds or those hairs, that thin lining of your gut has a hole in it, right? There's a leak in it somewhere, however big, however long it's been going on or whatnot.
mhm,
And from what everything I've studied, that is the beginning of disease. Like that is one of the biggest roots of all disease. Like I'm pretty convinced that most things, especially anything rooted in inflammation,
mhm.
comes from that. So autoimmune disease, neurologic disorders, Parkinson, things like that. I
Because
think,
your immune system, like you just said, on the outside, the warriors, if you will, right, protecting the rest of the body from what is going on in there and listening and, reacting, etc. The immune system as a whole is constantly at war. So instead of them just doing their job in peace and homeostasis in, a calm, cool, collected, functional environment, it's bloody warfare in there. They're
well, it can
defending
be.
your life
Well, only
in
if,
instances of disease
yeah, yeah.
and
So,
inflammation.
well, and one of the things I was reading in studying for this is about how, people talk about like fatigue, right? Like fatigue and brain
Chronic
fog
fatigue.
as some of the symptoms of leaky gut, and they're attributed to a lot of other things or whatnot. And the fatigue, if you think about when you have a cold, right? Or you get sick and the immune
Mhm,
system goes into action because we know there's a virus or whatever, right? Well,
mhm,
when you have a leaky gut, that you can't see it, right? If I cut my skin, I can see, okay, it's going to take a few days to heal, like, and it's not very big. If I take a big gouge, right? Like I'm in the hospital, I'm laid up, I'm treating this thing, I'm taking care of this thing, I'm not moving my arm, whatever it is, whatever part of the body got in attacked, if you will. But your gut can be, if depending on how you're taking care of it, under attack. And so your immune system is in mass, survival mode. So It's
Mm-hmm.
drawing energy away from other functions of the body to keep you alive, right?
Exactly, which is exhausting.
Totally. And we
It's
walk around
exhausting.
like, brain fog and all this stuff. It's like,
Yeah.
so yeah, first thing
Yeah.
I always just look at is if anybody's got lots of symptoms, it's like start with the gut. Start with healing the gut. So, and you're doing this right now. Tell us about your journey. So what are you, tell us like maybe the
Yeah,
back.
yeah. And we don't want to get too deep yet
Oh, because we're going to talk about
into the
healing the
healing
gut.
elements
Yeah,
of
you're
it,
right. You're right. You're right. Yep.
right? But my quick story is I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. So autoimmune is when your own body says, "Hey, mofo," and it starts literally attacking itself. Okay, if you have an autoimmune disease, and by the way, there's a couple hundred of them, so it's very difficult to get diagnosed and blah blah blah, all that crazy stuff. um, your body is at war with itself in some way, shape, or fashion. The immune system is in complete overdrive. So mine was connected to my gut
Mhm.
and to reactions to food. And in particular, it's celiacs. But once you have one autoimmune, you tend to get more because your immune system is in overdrive and it starts throwing swords and daggers and shooting at all kinds of things. So it can very quickly get away from itself, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's when it's 30. I'm going to be 56 this year. So that's a while ago. But it did literally break my body and my brain. So this is no joke, this kind of stuff. We laugh about it now, 25, 26 years later. But, I was literally barely getting out of bed and 50 pounds overweight, but completely malnourished. It was a disaster. But after all this time, I've managed it pretty well and been able to perform at a high level, but I still get symptoms at times. And so in the last year or so, I've developed some additional symptoms. And so I've been on the, investigative reporting. What in the hell is going on now? Skin
Yeah.
rashes, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Your personal. So we'll talk about that in episode 2. You're right. You're right. Okay.
Exactly. So
And
recently I've discovered I have SIBO, which is a bacterial gut infection, and I might have some other stuff going on. So we're in process of, through functional medicine, through Parsley Health, and through some other resources, figuring out what is really going on and then how can I heal that naturally, which is my preferred method of taking care of this physical body. But all of that to be said, like, it is just incredible to me, how I'm just very in tune now after all of this time. If something isn't functioning in my gut, and there's a lot of different ways to discover this, but just first of all, can we all just have some awareness?
yeah.
The basics of going poop,
Yeah.
bloating, gas, like just some very basic bodily functions that we all sort of take for granted.
Hmm.
Pay attention to the basics.
Hmm.
And through that path, you will see that other things start to be correlated. And then if I eat this, I get a skin rash. If I eat this, I get gas. If I eat this, I get bloating. Hey, things have gone awry or whatever.
For sure.
It just fascinates me. Anyway, long story short for me, and we'll get into the details of all that, is I'm constantly thinking about my gut, maybe sometimes a little bit too much because it's caused me so much distress in the past. And I now do have to balance um, being a little bit emotionally or mentally over fixated on what I put in my mouth and how I manage my gut. So there is a slippery slope there too. And you were an addict with
Mhm.
food. And so you and I also understand, and I want to just put this out to the audience, that we get it's complicated, right? Like
Mm.
there's a lot attached to food, and there's a lot attached to eating and eating behaviors, and there's a lot attached to your physical body's weight, shape, appearance around this topic,
Mm.
right? Because it's not just so plain and simple. Well, just eat this and just do this. Like I totally get it's way more complicated than that,
Hmm.
you know? And I
Yeah.
just want to say that out loud for our audience, that for some of these people, what we're talking about could be really triggering because it really has to do with your gut and what you're putting in your mouth, but it's also what you're putting on your skin, what you're
Mm.
putting in your air, and the things that you're exposing yourself to. And we'll get into that with a second. But anyway, I just wanted to puke all that out because really I had to just get it off my chest that it's messy. Dude,
Yeah.
it's fucking hard. It's
And
messy.
and our goal is to simplify and help people get on the starter path, and some of you listening, maybe you're already advanced, you're taking your sauerkraut every day and, you're into the rainbow of food of fibers, number one, and you're like, whatever, so we'll try and address as much of that in the second episode and make it as bite size as possible for those that are just, entering into this conversation. But what I would love to get back to when we start off with, listening to your gut is something I didn't know about. And I'm going to read it because I was like, I'm not even, I wasn't connected to this. So,
Why?
yeah,
Why, Polly?
like what is the connection? So if you haven't heard already, just spoiler alert, you have a second brain. Actually, you have three, and we'll only talk about two today. So you have a gut brain. You have gut brain. Your heart has a brain too, and you have the third brain, your brain. And actually, they form. I've heard that the brain in your head forms after the one in your gut. So your gut. I was like, hey, there might be something there. So let's talk about how they're talking to each other, right? Like that intuitive highway, right? That communication that's going back and forth. So,
well, now, just to be clear, though, we're talking beyond intuition. We're talking about real science, people. Okay, so how the body works.
oh yeah, sorry if I'm not.
We never learned this in school. Like,
No.
it's just mind blowing. This is cool shit. This is so cool.
Well, it's not only that, it's, this wasn't known too. Like
Yeah.
the thing, people, forgive me, I don't know when people started studying the gut. Maybe it was known by a few, many, when you and I were up and coming, but largely the gut, the deep dive into microbiome and stuff like that, I would say maybe 10 years, 15 years at
Yeah.
most.
About 10 years is where it's really people have invested time and money. And now we're seeing the results of these studies. We're
Yeah.
seeing this science be published.
Yeah. And it's only going to grow more. So, which is fantastic, right? It's like, oh, this whole world down there that we had no idea about, right? And I'm sure ancient Chinese medicine and Ayurveda, they're like, oh, y'all are so far behind. Like,
You Westerners.
come on, please, right? Which is probably, I mean, like Ayurveda, like, oh yeah, of course it is. But let's just say us Westerners are waking up to it. So I want to read you about the enteric nervous system, the ENS. It communicates with the brain. And this is Dr. Michael Gerson's Second Brain. I think it was a book on that. So when we talk about a gut feeling, it's not just poetic metaphor. There's profound science behind it. Dr. Michael Gerson, often called the father of neurogastroenterology, actually coined the term the second brain. This isn't just about digestion. It's a complex, intricate network of neurons lining our entire digestive tract from the esophagus to the anus. That's the ENS. The ENS operates independently of the brain in your head. It's like this own little computer, right? They're in
30 feet of computer.
Yeah, well, and they're in so these neurons are talking to your brain, right? So it's a bidirectional communication. Gut is talking to the brain, brain's talking to the gut. Hey, what's up? Yo, what's going on down there, right? So it's two powerful interconnected computers. And your gut is constantly sending information to your brain about nutrient availability, inflammation, specific types of bacteria living down there, and your brain sends signals down to your gut and influences digestion and motility, which is like the movement of things. So these sensations originating in your gut can profoundly influence your mood, right? I mean, right? Your thoughts and your intuition. That bad feeling in your stomach or butterflies, it's literally messages being sent to your second brain, right? So there's this communication channel, and I think it's tied to this vagus nerve, right? So that's like the information superhighway. And if you don't, I can't remember exactly where the vagus nerve is, but I remember someone telling me like it goes down the middle of your chest. I forget if it's on the left side of your collarbone or sorry, your chest bone, or the right, but it like goes down and you can like touch on there, and it's actually so I think of the vagus nerve as the pivot point between parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system, right? So your parasympathetic is the rest and digest, right? It's we're not, like we're chilling out, everything's good, peace, I'm fine, things are good. The sympathetic is like fight or flight, freeze, like, oh, so I gotta get into action, something's going on, right? And we get into we get into the sympathetic nervous system when our body's stimulated or responding, or we get that email or like cut off in traffic or text something, right? you want to live most of the time in the parasympathetic nervous system, right? And that vagus nerve is access to that. So a couple of the, I don't know, I feel like dropping this right now. So a couple of techniques
Sure.
is one is touching the vagus nerve. And forgive me, I can't remember if you're watching this on video or listening. It's to the left or the right of your chest bone, but just tuning into it can just like calm it, right? The other one, my favorite though, is a sigh. A sigh, like a somatic breath meant to just release something. So just going, ah,
Mhm.
boom, you're in the parasympathetic nervous system because you can't be sighing and being chased by a lion. It's like a signal from the
Exactly.
universe, like, nope, there, she must not be being chased by a lion because she's signaling like I don't need to be, hyped up, if you will. So,
Why this is so important for people to know that A, this exists, and B, they can control this is because most of us now live with an overstimulated
mm,
vagus nerve response all the time. We're always in that fight or flight,
mm,
stress, even nuanced stress, the
yeah,
phone, the
yeah.
emails, the lighting, the air quality, the whatever environment, traffic, all the things, right? Even when we think we're not stressed because we appear to be relaxing, there is this constant onslaught of things that do impact our nervous system. And so when it comes to relaxing that or resetting that, generally most people don't do it unless they're freaking asleep.
Mm, mm.
And some people don't even do it in their sleep.
Not conscious of it. Exactly.
Exactly. So they need to have awareness and there's tons of information out there about this. There's a lot of therapies where you can really work on that and do your own personal routine around it on a daily basis to help reset it.
I just want to give you like an example. So I want to read one thing. So this notes that I have here, it's like the superhighway connecting the gut and the brain, right? So it's the sensations, it's the talking to your brain and gut, which is like way beyond the intelligence, is it's picking up so much more than this logical brain can
Oh
possibly,
yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
So one thing I have a note about is that chronic stress, just like you were talking about, like that chronic stress, it can inhibit the vagal tone,
Mm-hmm.
right? So this communication highway becomes less efficient.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we were talking about at the beginning when you said, are you listening to it? Are you listening to it? Well, if you're in
What are
a
you listening to?
well, no, if you're in a constant state of stress, like the
Mm-hmm.
signal is getting broken up. It's kind of like the sound quality is not there. You can't hear it. It's not
Yeah.
the
A bad
signals.
phone connection.
Yeah, it's either light or it's like blip 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 blip, it's not a constant tuning into it. So that can lead to this vicious cycle. So the more stressed you are, you're not hearing your intuition, so you get more stress, and then the signal gets what, and it's just like spiraling. So we want to pay attention. I'll give you a I don't know, this example kind of jumps out at me. I'm not sure exactly how this relates, but maybe you can pull something out of this. So I have this client that I'm working with who is under a lot of stress.
Mm-hmm.
And stress, I would say, is stories we tell ourselves, right? Because, and I've been coaching some people lately on pressure, under so much pressure. And I was just helping them like language that differently. It's like, okay, so let's just be clear. Pressure is when, like, if I take a vice and I clamp something down, like that's exerting pressure. I go, do you have a clamp on your head right now? I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
Where's this pressure? Where is it? Show me. Show me the pressure that you're under, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just an internal, like it's a feeling of pressure. It's a experience of too much to do and deadlines and whatever you want to call it, but there's no pressure on you, right? So just how we language things is our experience of them too. So this client I'm working with, lots of things going on in her life, constructing a second location in her business, creating a whole new website and CRM system. So migrating from an old website, working with an entirely new partner on this second location, the dynamics of that, not all the details are worked out. Money's been a little lean because they're coming out of their slow season, about to get into their busy season. There was also a program, an event she was supposed to be at, and out internationally, and supposed to go overseas, and just too many things on the plate, whatever. And so, as I'm talking with her, and just we're going through action items and strategies, and all that stuff. I was just present to this underlying vibration of kinetic energy that that
Mhm.
people can get to when
Mhm.
there's irregularity or imbalance. And I just had to presence her to it. And I was like, I just want to make sure you're aware of how, like, are you aware of it? Do you
Mhm.
feel it? Whatever. And um, I always said, do you have techniques to regulate that, like in the moment? And then do you have techniques on the whole, like on the day to regulate that? Because that level of, the if you look at, I forget if it's an EKG or EEG, like when the heart rate, like and the nervous system heart rate have some things to do with each other, not always, but if you look at an EKG, it's like boom, 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 your heart rate's just kind of cruising along. And then if you're in stress or pressure, or whatever that chamber is that you call it, like that thing gets all spiky, right? It's not just this nice fluid heartbeat or flow. And so I was just reminding her of like techniques. She said, "Oh yeah, I used to meditate. I haven't been meditating, just too much to do." And I was like, "Well, how long did you used to meditate for?" 10 minutes. I'm like, "Can you reintroduce that?" I was like,
You don't have 10 minutes.
how about you
Yeah.
reintroduce that in the market? Okay. And then, one of the things I thought would help her was EFT tapping, which is a technique that it's actually surprising, anyway. So it's about just like tapping on the body and certain points and actually saying nice stories to yourself. Like, even though I'm in a stressful situation, everything is safe and I'm going to be okay. Right. And then I think mostly it's the talking to yourself that helps, right? We
Mhm.
talk ourselves down off that ledge, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, so I just wanted to share that as like that nervous system dysregulation, like how she could have any sense of her intuition in that body that was just under so much vibration that wasn't like the
Well,
water.
interestingly enough, she had the initial knowing because she claimed or called it, identified and storied it as pressure,
Mm, mm,
right? So that terminology, and I've worked with a lot of business owners too, and in particular, you'll see sometimes a common theme is they'll say, I'm having heart palpitations or I have pressure in my chest. And
mm,
they'll immediately think, I'm having a heart attack or I have some kind of cardiovascular. And that could be true. And I'm not saying we shouldn't rule that out. Of course, obviously, everybody gets health checks and medical checks. We need to look at all that stuff. But a
yes.
lot of times, that's the physical body. And I would say the vagus nerve communicating to them because the amount of stress that they're under to start ramping up in this fight or flight nervous system response, their heart rate,
Yeah,
things of that nature. Maybe there's a hormonal imbalance, all these other cascade of things that would be happening in the physical body, right?
yeah, yeah,
So to the audience, it's like first have awareness. How does your physical body feel?
yeah.
Is there a tightness in your chest? Is there a restriction in your throat?
Mm,
Are you getting migraine headaches?
mm,
Does your back hurt? So a lot of it will show up, I believe, show up physically in the body somewhere
mhm.
that some piece of your life is currently not working. Imbalance
Something's
there.
out of imbalance. Yeah,
Exactly. So your body is so freaking brilliant. It
yeah,
really is miraculous. It just blows my mind, and we still know very little, right? But what we do know is it's freaking miraculous. And it's basically saying, hey, fool, what are you doing? What
hey,
is this ridiculous behavior?
hey.
Yeah, I just met with another small business owner the other day, and I've been working with him off and on for months. He's like, my blood pressure is so high. I'm like, yeah, no shit. What do you think that is? And, the mind was trying to connect it to, I'm drinking too much coffee or I'm doing this, that, like some, I don't want to call them
Logicking it. Yeah.
superficial, but logical, rational things. And I was like, oh my God, we got a much bigger thing than that going on, right? Like, let's have a real conversation. Not how many cups of coffee did you have today? And also, this is so great. You are getting a warning sign from
Yes.
your physical body. Lucky you.
Yeah.
Okay. We also have experienced people, and we both have people in our lives who are having health breakdowns of different sorts and whatever. And there was a physical manifestation that happened maybe a year or 2 years earlier
Mm,
that was ignored
mm,
and ignored. and ignored.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, disease will set in, because if you do not listen to this brilliant gut and look for warning signs and pay attention,
Yeah.
disease is the path.
Yeah.
And, hopefully not a disease that's not curable. But the whole point is, like, can we just address these things earlier? Have
Well,
awareness,
I
pay
think
attention.
what sometimes happens, not necessarily, is if you ever heard a story about the boiling frog, and so, and for those of you that haven't, I'll try to be brief. So
It's graphic.
yeah, well, no frogs were hurt in this, I promise you.
Good.
So if you take a pot of boiling water and you throw a frog into it, he immediately jumps out. Instead, if you throw a pot of cool water and put a frog in, he's like, oh, this is great. And you turn the water up slowly to boiling, he doesn't jump out and he doesn't make it, right? So I think
Because the heat sneaks up on them.
it's neat, because these little symptoms, we take them for granted. Like, oh, I mean, like, okay, so here, so I'm having a little moment myself, right? So not in my body, but how this shows up for me is, let's say ignoring signs, but ignoring things. So like I've got a lot on my plate right now that just some things lot going on. And so there's little parts of my house that I'm seeing. I'm like, damn,
Donna,
I gotta
Donna, Donna.
gotta put that stuff away. Oh, I gotta throw that away. Oh, I gotta return that to Amazon or whatever it is. And so there's these little things. I'm like, oh man, and if you don't pay attention to those or if you don't address them, like that will
Cave in on you.
grow and stuff. Yeah. So the visual representation of my inner life, what I'm managing, if you will, is showing up, right? But you and I would say, because we value health and vitality
Number one.
so foundationally, it would never get past our gatekeeper. Like we would never be like, nope, just going to let that, thing go. And up, there's another one. Nope, just going to let that symptom go and up, just ignore the signs. We would never.
No.
It's like, mm,
And truthfully, that's because we did, and
mm,
we had negative outcomes
mm,
to, extreme ones. And
mm,
so we learned the hard way. We're not just preaching from the mountaintop and we've always had everything just perfect and lovely and and the perfect body. And just, can you believe all these things have always gone right? No, they were disasters.
yes,
So we're
yes,
speaking from a place of, listen, it freaking hurts to suffer
yeah,
physically and emotionally.
mm,
We don't really want to see other people suffering. So
yeah.
anything we can do to be of service.
And everything, I just believe in the pyramid, and the bottom of my pyramid, the foundation is my health and vitality, right? If I'm going to have any sense of, Maslow's hierarchy of needs and achieve, ultimate enlightenment or something, if I'm not taking care of myself, I'm sorry, that is never going to happen. I'm never going to get to that mountaintop, right? Let
That's
alone
right.
the virtual mountaintop or the physical mountaintop. So yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Super important, super important. Right on. So
So back to what you were reading.
yeah, yeah. And so some of the things I just want to tune into, just some notes I had here is like, so your gut is constantly trying to communicate and your brain is that whatever. But just know if we're doing things, if we're not taking 10 minutes to meditate or whatever our chosen, and I'm going to go through some ways to get back in touch with the intuition and get this all turned on. But if we're not taking those steps, taking that time, that little frog is just going to get boiled from the inside out, right? Like we're just going to like, nope, what intuition? Who has intuition? I haven't heard my intuition
Oh my
in
God. I
decades.
just got the weirdest visual about the 30 feet of our
Oh
gut.
no.
Okay. So there's 30 feet there. Okay. And we just discussed how it was layered, well, what the function was of the gut, and then how it was layered, how it functions, how it communicates, the brain gut, and ultimately how it's protected by the immune system. Okay. Well, we can all relate to these damn devices.
Your phone.
If you were getting a text message from your gut, your 30 feet long gut,
Yeah.
every few minutes, would you respond or
Hmm.
would you just ignore it? Because
Hmm.
basically, we're not talking about you getting a text message every few minutes. We're talking about continuously every second,
Hmm.
if not many per second, are you getting messages sent
Mm,
from your best friend called your gut, because they're trying really ferociously to take care of you.
mhm,
Hey, 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 do you see me? Do you hear me? Do you see me? Do you hear me?
mm,
All we have to do is say, okay, well, I have awareness that that's a thing, and there is a communication channel there. And that communication channel has my best interests at
mm,
heart.
mm,
My mental and physical well being is their primary function.
mhm,
I'm going to pay attention. I'm
mm,
going to give a shit.
mm,
And I'm going to start listening,
mm.
right? You wouldn't ignore your best friend who's texting you every minute, like, help, help, help. You wouldn't.
And I think too, we talked earlier about how much our society, Western society, relies on the brain and the logic and thinking things through and all of that, right? So we live up in our head and we go to the answers for everything in our head. And yet it's so dysfunctional up there sometimes, right? It's such a dysfunctional place to
I don't know who lives up there. I
it's
know who lives in my gut.
that's what I was gonna say. I was like, your gut is kind of, unless you're treating it like a trash can, it's pure. It's
It
not
is.
polluted if you unless you're in a healthy gut. It's not polluted with all the dysfunction of your childhood. It's not polluted with all the
Oh,
patterns and habits and all. It's like it's a pure message.
oh
Like
yeah.
it's your most pure signal. Like, and so some of the things that when we were talking before we started this is like, it's in moments when you, let's say, need your gut, right? Not only are we talking about like, are you healthy and is it good down there? Like your celiac's like, oh, that wasn't a good thing to eat, right? But like your gut comes involved when you interact with other beings too, right? So like, is this person trustworthy, right? Or is this a good situation for me to be in? Am I in a safe place? Am I following my passion, right? Or
Mhm.
am I meant for this? Is this something that is a yes for me, right? And so I think those messages that come from down there are a lot more pure. They're not
Yeah.
so polluted, right?
Yeah, yeah. They're coming from the core of your being, right? So really, you can call that whatever you want to call that, your soul, your spirit, the core of who you are, the essence of who you are, and really your highest potential.
Mm, mm.
It's a little bit boggling,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. So
Damn.
just yeah, so so a couple other things I want to say. So intuition, those signals, they're subtle.
Hmm. Hmm.
They're subtle. You
Yeah.
talk about the texting. Texting's not so subtle, which is okay, right? It's like a whisper. I
Hmm.
would call it. It's
Hmm.
like it's more like, and so as you were talking about, I think those signals, they're faster and a deeper form of intelligence. They're like a
Hmm.
pure form of intelligence.
Hmm.
But we have to learn to listen and tune into them, right? And kind of block out all this noise. And it's like having an awareness of your body's own wisdom. Like, I do not know, like, you and I've talked about like the microbiome. So the microbiome is like what's in your gut, not the lining of your gut, but all the viruses and
Millions and
yeah,
millions and
bacteria and all. Yeah,
millions
I
of
mean, and it's like the amount of stars in the solar system is how many of those that are in your belly, right? Each one of us is carrying
yeah,
around billions of
billions.
stars in it, right?
Hmm.
So it's wisdom. Like you and I didn't put them in there. We don't know what they're doing down there. We're not telling them. I mean, maybe we're telling them a little bit, like, but that's all body wisdom. Like
Hmm.
it's so been so designed by our evolution that it just knows what to do. It knows knows how to keep us alive, knows how to keep us well. And it's like it's a subtle body wisdom form of intelligence that we just do now. Like this whole other brain we can use. And it's like, nope, ixnay that. That whole mountains of wisdom that's been accumulated by millions of years of evolution. Nope, won't be trusting that.
Well, somewhere along the line, the story changed from it's there to protect us, to help us grow, to help us thrive, into it's not a value, it's an inconvenience. It's, actually maybe sometimes out to get us. I mean, when I was first diagnosed and I was so sick, and actually I wasn't diagnosed, I was being misdiagnosed, right? I
Mm,
just felt like my body was at war with me, right?
mm.
So emotionally, what it felt like was my own body was turning against me.
Burned on you. Yeah.
So, right, people can have this bad relationship with their gut and also with their intuition, which we're
Mm,
saying is one and the same. hey, I trusted that person before. I
Mm,
have believed that the best outcome would happen, or, the good things come to those who wait, or blah, 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 or whatever all the things are. But that didn't work out for me.
mm,
So I can't trust that anymore. I can't trust my own self, my
mm,
own knowing.
mm, mm.
Wow, that sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. And
That sucks.
I think we need to check back in with that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because
Because it's bullshit.
what was probably going on is we were checking in, checking in with our brain and then and we probably we logicked it up, we logicked it up and we'll go into too much, but anyway, there's a whole,
Well, no, we can add to that real quick because I can't not add to this.
please, please.
Is I can't, I've lost count. Okay. Not hundreds, I guarantee you thousands of times
Yeah.
things have happened that were not what I would like to have happened
Yeah.
over this life's journey, right?
Yeah.
I had different ideas for these outcomes and experiences.
Yeah.
However, shit happens and it is what it is, right? But after so many hard falls or hard pivots and hard, transformations and things of that nature, I've come to embrace, and so have you, the reality of everything happens for a reason. And there are greater things around the corner and more positive things to come. And there is reasons for
Mm,
those things not being great. I
totally.
would have stayed in bad jobs, bad marriage, bad health, endless. I don't even know, honestly, that I'd still be alive if many of these things didn't happen over the course of my lifetime. So, I guess it just takes some maturity, but also a place of just knowing, that again, that inner knowing and respect of like, hey, there's a greater thing going on here than what it might first appear.
Totally. Totally.
Always trust yourself, people. I mean, it's
Mhm.
like the number one foundational thing, the trust of self. And you feel you can speak to this yourself, but
Mm,
how your word
mm,
and your connection to your own value and trust in your word is everything.
mm, mm.
That's how you rebuild that.
Yeah, and I think there's something in there that I think I'm gonna like all of a sudden I'm gonna take us off in this whole direction of like, well, trust and then the self-confidence and then relate.
But if you're not listening to your gut, if you're not listening to your intuition, what is that? That's a lack of self trust.
Yeah, because I think I would say why do it? Because it's satisfying.
Hmm.
Right. And so where my body goes to, and you and I've told you about my study of the gene keys and human design and stuff like that. And so as a sacral being, right, so I'm guided by my sacral, which is my gut, right? And so I get these impulses, yes or no, what's right for me, right? And I don't want to go too much into that, but I think it's valid. It's like my intuitive yes or my intuitive no. So what happens if I as a sacral being, if I go into the sacral no, like if I don't trust my no and I do it anyway, if I trust it and I follow through, I get satisfaction, right? I'm like, oh, this is the thing I should do. Okay, great. And I go do it. And it's like I enjoy it, right? And then like, yay, satisfied, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't and I go against it or I go to a no and I do it anyway, resentment, suffering, pain, emotional distress, like I've split from myself. I'm like, no.
It is. It's a violation to the self.
Hmm. Exactly. Exactly. So I have gone down those roads like you've talked about, recognize like, oh, I'm not sure I should be doing this. I don't know about that. And
Mm-hmm.
then the alternative of that or the other side of that is I'll get these, fuck yeah, I should be doing that. That sounds crazy, but yeah, I should do that. Like when I left my husband and my job and my nice comfortable job and my nice comfortable house and I bought a 32 motor home and I was like, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is crazy. And
Yeah.
off I went, but so
Oh, yeah.
satisfying. And if I had stayed and whatnot, oh, the resentment towards the person, the job, it just would have withered, right? So,
Yeah, because you're not honoring yourself.
yeah.
You're disrespecting yourself. And that's unacceptable. I
Mhm.
mean, it's the biggest crime.
Mm. So I think our, suggestion here, our invitation to you is try it. Like you've
Mhm.
got to experiment with this, right? We're going to give them some things to reconnect with your intuition, but
Yeah.
regardless, as you have some ideas on how to do it and what to do and where you might go with this, with the vagus nerve and stuff, um, you got to experiment. You got to find it out for yourself, and I'm not saying go do some life-threatening things or whatever, but practice on smaller things, right? Like, oh, what if I did this for a little while? Okay, and trusted that gut. So let's talk about some ways that people can reconnect with their intuition, reconnect
Okay.
with that gut and some action steps and some, easy wins, right? So
Okay.
mindful body scans, right? Like you talked about, like you as a celiac, like that's like easy for you. You're like everything you put into your body. And I know from traveling with you how quickly you can have a misalignment. You're like, "Meh, shouldn't have eaten that," right? You're like, it, right? Some people like just throw garbage into their mouth like it's a trash can. And it's like, whoops, whoops, bloating,
Mhm.
constipation, just regular, anxiety as well. Anxiety, ADHD, lots of neurodegenerative diseases, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, there's so much that's related to that gut beginning to leak, right? And so, you know, stop treating your body like a trash can. What you put in your mouth should be like putting it into a temple, like you're putting it into a baby's mouth, like, like you put it into something that you really, really care about. Like, would you feed this to your best, best, best friend, right?
Mhm.
So mindful body scans. So it can be a daily practice. Some people have never done this. They've never even talked to their body, never listened to, never checked in. And so, do you do this? Do you have, I mean, you, especially with your gut, like you are in tune with checking in with your gut, but you don't have to be a yogi or be in savasana do a bodily check-in
I
either.
mostly do it related to my fitness. So depending on what my workout's going to be for the day, like I'll be like, hey, what's going on with my arms or whatever. It'll be part of like my warm up is like gaining awareness
Mm,
around, what might be happening with this shoulder or this knee or whatever. So like mine is I'm going to do physical things,
yeah.
which is every day, right? And I want to know, check in, should I be doing this really extreme thing or should I chill the hell out and do
Mm.
this other thing, right? So I have to pay attention. Yeah.
And so I'll just go back to that story about that business owner that I was working with. So she was not checking in with her body on that nervous system agitation that I was picking up on. And we were doing this over the phone. I'm not saying I was standing near her. It was like I could just hear from the pace of her voice, the pressure she was putting through her intention on the phone of like speaking things to her team. I was just like, oh, that's just like you could feel her pressure coming through the phone to the team and stuff, right? And it's like,
Everybody can identify with this because they've all worked with a person like that.
yeah,
I guarantee we've all worked in environments, whether that was a manager or a boss or a coworker or whatever, where you're like, whoa, I
hold up.
wasn't stressed today when I came into work, but now I am. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Mhm.
And your energy impacts your team, impacts your coworkers,
Ooh.
impacts your clients, yourself, right? Like let alone your own. So like a body scan would just be, I mean, it could be in the moment where you're like people are saying these things to me, like I feel a lot of this pressure. Okay, well, you're noticing it. Where is it? Like, is it in your head? Is it in your chest? Is it in your gut? Like, are you like people tap their foot on the floor and like you get that nervous foot tapping, whatever. This client was doing this. So what I'm doing is like she's moving her shoulder. It's like her body couldn't even like sit inside of its own body, doing her
Mhm.
hair and I'm over exaggerating it for the video, but
Mhm.
just this body that was
Fidget.
fidgeting. I'm like, you need to go for a run.
That's what I would
I
be
was
like,
like,
girl, you put those shoes on now.
go get some
Hey,
ex like run
we're
all
hanging up the
that,
phone. Exactly.
run all that inner, but can't get the body, all fidgety. Anyway, so mindful body scans. And then when you do the mindful body scan, like do something about it. Like if it's like you probably have enough wisdom inside of you to know what you need to do. Like,
Mhm.
what? I just need to go for a walk around the block for a minute, or I need to rest,
Lay down.
lie down.
Exactly. Lay down.
Horizontal pauses, those are my favorite. Like I'll just like stop and like go just that's an easy reset, right? One of my
Mhm.
favorites, especially with people with addiction and that hyper, ness of a compulsion, if you will, 10 slow, deep breaths. I
Mhm.
don't think anything dysregulating the nervous system, possibly grief, but most things that we're dealing with in a daily basis can survive 10 slow, deep breaths.
Mhm.
It's just impossible. Like you're tapping into your somatic, your nervous system, your emotional body, all these things. So mindful body scans. Next one, pause and ask. So like before you make a decision, take a deep breath and check in with your body. Like, okay, well, I remember this with that Glennon Doyle, she had that book. Gosh, what was that book? Hers. Anyway, she talked about how she developed this muscle of checking in with herself, and she practiced it by going into a closet. She's got kids and a house that's going on and stuff like that. And so she'd go into her closet and she'd like tune into her body and like start to understand what it needed and ask it questions in the quiet of a closet, to like
Mhm.
get away from the noise and the whatever. So she practiced that, I forget, weeks, months, whatever. And then she's like at a business meeting and she's got team on whatever. So what do you think, Lennon? Should we do this? And she was like, damn, I wish I had that closet. And she's like, you know what? Let me just practice it right now. And she was able to just like go in and go, yeah, let's do this. And
Mhm.
like came up with it, right? So take a freaking pause, right? All right. Journaling. Journaling is great, you guys, for free flow consciousness. Sometimes I find this for a couple of things, right? People who carry their to-do list in their head, oh my God, like that is like a sure nervous system dysregulation. Like that will make you crazy because your brain is constantly reminding you.
The worst. And forgetting because it just doesn't want to remember.
Totally.
No.
Totally. Do not care. So,
Mhm.
whether it's a to-do list, like get it out, like I have paper and pen by my bed, and it's like before I go to bed, if I've got that energy of
Mhm.
thoughts, like, oh, don't forget, but write that shit
Write that
down.
shit down.
Yeah,
Get
here,
it out
it'll
of
be
your
here in the
brain.
morning. I'll pick it up
Mhm.
in the morning. Great, right? And journaling is great too, to whether you do like Artist Way morning pages for creativity or just streams of consciousness. Like it's the ability to get the chatter that's going on in the back of your mind, the subconsciously, out in front of you so you can be aware of a nervous Nelly that's trapped in your head and is like running the show or whatever. So
Mhm. Mhm.
you're my favorite, nature.
Nature.
And connect.
Ah, it's the greatest drug there is. Come on, people. Get with the program.
You don't need plant medicine, it's everywhere, right?
Get with the program. It's free.
Spend some time outdoors, quiet your mind, and then do something, go for a walk in the morning or in the evening or garden or just look outside, just look outside your damn window, right? So get away from your desk. And then listen to your cravings mindfully,
Mhm.
right? Especially for those people that cope with things by reaching for something to put in your mouth, whether it's a food or a smoke or something chewing, whatever.
Mm.
Like if you're reaching for something, most likely it's because you're dysregulated on the inside. And so that's an
Mhm.
opportunity to practice something, some somatic breath work. And we're not going to go into all the ways to calm the nervous system to regulate that, but just start to tune into it, you know,
These are all free, basic things. That's
at
it.
your
Yeah.
fingertips.
Yeah.
Hello.
Exactly. Exactly.
Easy, easy
Pick
peasy.
one. Pick them all. Practice one day for a week and then decide, like, what's my thing? What's my thing going to be? Or do them all. I don't care. Do them all.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan. We didn't talk about meditation and like talk about EFT for calming the nervous system or whatever. But I think the most important thing that you said earlier is like just being aware.
Oh,
Like notice you might be the frog and it's getting a little hot in here.
it's getting hot in here. Woo!
Don't let yourself get boiled and like blow your top, right? That's where you get those hot moments, right?
Exactly.
Steam's got to come out somewhere and it's coming towards you. Sorry, no.
Yeah. You're not a caged animal.
Yeah. Well,
There's
you
very
can
few
feel
of
like it.
us.
You can feel like it.
I know. They've convinced themselves they're in a cage and that the cage is locked.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that some people actually aren't in cages, right? But most of us, by choice, are in the cage.
Yeah.
The door is open, but
Mm.
we're like, I'm going to just stay in here. I wonder if I should get, I wonder why that door's open.
Well, they got too much to do. Busyness, noise, they're not taking a
They
moment
think their life is in the cage. They
to
forgot it's
slow
outside.
down. Yeah. Slow down. Get off the crazy train.
Yep.
I tell you, get off the crazy train, whether it's not having a moment from when you wake up to when you go to bed. that you're not talking, reading, looking, listening, speaking, interacting, whatever. Like, right? Just like,
I'm just laughing because I want to say, can you just call us? Because we're going to take an inventory of all this. I just can't. I just, I just need to take an inventory of what these people are doing.
yeah.
Again, it comes back to we're not here to say we're doing it perfectly. The point is, we have suffered profusely
Mm,
and
mm,
we are damn well dedicated to trying to help others not,
yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so you're giving a lot of great free examples, but I also can hear many people that I already know, never mind strangers in the audience, making up all these stories about how they don't have time or whatever. Hey, you better call us because we're
Yeah.
going to sort that out.
Totally. Well, and you're worth it, right?
Oh,
Well,
so
and
true. So
yeah,
true.
and people have to understand, okay, so tuning in, listening to your gut is so important. I'm so glad we took an episode to share this with you guys, and we'd love your feedback, So what did you get out of this, right? Like what could you do today, tomorrow to start helping yourself, right? Is it becoming aware of something? Is it practicing one of these, simple steps to retune into it? Is it starting to look at like maybe I have leaky gut. I've got some of these symptoms. I've got the brain fog. I've got the autoimmune thing. What it's like maybe I should check into that more. And we're going to go into another episode on the let's call it the physical well-being, the taking care of it, the healing it, right?
I want to hear the thing that their gut's been telling them
Yeah.
for weeks and months and maybe years that they were poo pooing.
Yeah.
And the minute they heard this, they're like, oh, shit,
I
right?
sh
And so they're going to look at that. They're going to stare it in the face with full awareness and go, I hear you and I respect. We're doing
yeah.
this.
Yeah. And remember, it's subtle, but
Mm-hmm.
it's so wise.
Mm-hmm.
And why wouldn't we tune into subtle and why wouldn't we tune into that wisdom, even if it's subtle, right? It doesn't need to bang us over the head. So, well, all right, what's our one thing? What do we want to like leave them with as our one thing, my dear? What do you think?
I mean, for me, it's about really ensuring that they heard loud and clear that the gut is actually trying to run the show and it's your best friend.
Hmm.
So show it respect, honor it, listen to it, have awareness about how it functions and the impact it's having, not just on your physical health, but your
Yeah.
emotional and mental well being. And make space to allow it to heal if that is where we're at with this. And most of us are there.
Yeah.
And then allow it to work for you
Mm, mm,
to build the body, the brain, the life that you want. It's
mm,
just hanging out, trying to do its job here.
mm. Whether you're physically or emotionally irregulated, you have symptoms in your physical body of autoimmune disease or pain or can't sleep or whatever, eczema, like you were talking about, rashes and stuff like that. Or you've got emotional symptoms like ADHD or brain fog or irritability or what any of these things, like tune into the gut. I
Mhm.
bet you there's an answer to any of those and more from your gut. So listening to it and going, "Oh, I hear you. Let's have a little conversation. Let's work on this." And so stay tuned. Next episode we'll go into, the symptoms that are being created, manifesting so you can be more in tune to, "Oh, that could be my gut? Oh, all right." And then what you can
And
do.
then ways to heal it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And we want to do that. All right, my dear.
All right, lady.
I want to remind our beautiful humans today.
No matter how farty you are and how bloated you are and what's going on with your pooper, how your life looks is not as important as how it feels.
Yes. And every day is your opportunity to find your awesome.